my partners and I had kind of a bickering match about how we were going to approach this. They wanted to go brand and I wanted to go independent and fully, outside the box. And I'm glad I was able to convince them to go my way because it ended up being the reason why we're successful today.
When you acquired this hotel, it was a 1-star. What was the occupancy look like? And then at that time, did you pay just cash for it at that time because you didn't have a choice? Or you just, did the cash and then figure it out later?
It was 30% down, plus 30% down and 70% owner finance.
Okay.
Which was great. That's that really made the deal, right? And I feel like those were favorable terms to him as well because this thing wouldn't have passed inspection. It was really run down, but the numbers made sense for the type of product that he had at the time, right? His occupancy was around 74%. It was a lot of long-term stays. However, the guests were pretty much part-time homeless people that were getting their checks from the VA that would basically stay there for 2 weeks to kind of regroup and be indoors and then go back out on the streets. And that whole process kind of recycled. So you had a lot of property with a lot of drug issues, mental health, it was kind of chaotic when we first got out there.
That's a lot to manage, right?
Yeah, it's a lot to manage, but a lot of liability, when you're dealing with, we could have kept it that way and, stabilized it, but that area just demands a lot more of a better experience.
So even though he had 74%, which is fairly high in occupancy, but his average nightly rate was probably too low.
Yeah, $39. $39 to $40 a night.
Was he profitable, you think?
He was.
Because he was free and clear?
It was free and clear. I think he had a little bit of debt on it, but he was profitable. I mean, but there was a lot of CapEx that needed to be done. The roof was leaking. The rooms were all banged up. It wasn't just it was hard. And plus, you understand after COVID, everything, and inflation. I mean, you pump $8 trillion into the system. Now housekeepers are more expensive. Just all the staff and finding staff was hard to do. So then property taxes. I mean, that they went up since we bought the place. They've gone up over 35%. So
that's another thing.
Yeah, profitable back then, probably not profitable now for sure. So it was good timing to be able to do what we did to the property.
So I just want to go back and circle on something real quick for a listener or viewers who's thinking about getting into the hotel business. That powerful tool that you use is to negotiate with the seller to finance the property to you.
Correct.
That's very powerful because sometimes people just think they have to go to bank institutions to get financing.
Right.
But in this case, you just work with the seller.
Exactly. And our game plan was to put in about $1 million of CapEx and then basically package the property, to where it looks good enough to be able to introduce to a long-term lender.
So I got to share this funny story. I ran into you in Vegas and you said, I'm here to buy furniture for my hotel. And I'm like, oh my God, really? So tell us, how did you get to that idea? I mean, how do you even come up with, okay, I'm going to go buy the furniture and I'm not going to say where. You can share where you're buying them from and all that if you like. But how do you even come up with the theme, where you want to go with this rundown, beat up place?
Well, Austin, Texas was really my first inspiration, right? So I was really looking at this group called the Bunkhouse Group. And this lady, Liz Lambert, had basically started buying old motels and turning them into a really cool, funky concepts, real vintage, mid-century modern vibes. And I was like, well, that's cool, we could always do a brand and throw a, kind of like a roadside inn or, the stuff that you see.
Motel 6 or something.
Your Holiday Inn stuff. I was like, that would work if it was, located in Pasadena or somewhere else like that. But I was like, no, for the heights, for the crowd that we have out here, for the the proximity to every entertainment venue in town. We're only 5 minutes from downtown, one exit away from White Oak Music Hall, all the breweries and taps. Like, we have to have something vibrant, something a value add. We like to call it economical luxury, essentially, right? So something that doesn't break your pocketbooks. It's not the Marriott. It's not the Marriott Marquis or some of the bigger brand hotels that you see in downtown, but we try to provide as much of that experience as possible, but also be a fun concept with an atmosphere that people really look for, right? A good place you can go have a drink, have an experience, have parties, events, be with friends, and be close to whatever you intend on doing when you come to Houston. But yeah, the concept, my partners and I had kind of a bickering match about how we were going to approach this. They wanted to go brand, and I wanted to go independent and fully, outside the box. And I'm glad I was able to convince them to go my way, because it ended up being, the reason why we're successful today.